What's up, everybody? So today we are going to go get a little beard shape up, cut the little bit of hair that I have, and to get there we are actually going to be riding the CFmoto 450 SS. So, you know, we'll talk about that a little bit. I know this bike is gaining a lot of popularity. There's a lot of reviews coming out, so why not join to it? So let me get kitted up, hop on the bike, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right. So here we are, 2023 CFmoto 450 SS. I bought this bike, I think, in the beginning of April. Per the dealership and the forums that I'm on and all that good stuff, I'm pretty confident I was one of the very first people in at least the East Coast, but very well, you know, or very possibly the United States, to actually own one of these. When I bought it, I mean, there was hardly, I don't know if there was any videos on YouTube from people in the United States. You know, there were people overseas that were posting some videos here and there, but yeah, I mean, other than that, like, there wasn't anybody on the Facebook forums or YouTube that was in the United States that I could find. So, you know, my original intention was to try and get some content out there, and, you know, this is all new to me, so unfortunately it didn't go as planned, and I really didn't have as much time as I expected to have to be able to do all of that. With, you know, I actually had a baby just a couple weeks after buying the bike, so that ate up a lot of time, and yeah, all that good stuff. But here I am now, trying to put a little bit of content out there. So, you know, just kind of looking at the bike here before we kind of get heading over to the barber shop. You can see I've done a couple things, right? So I've got different grips on the bike, I've got different levers for the brake and the clutch, I've got the steering dampener installed, I've got the quad lock installed, and I've actually done a pretty big appearance change. So this is a Nebula black bike, which has the black, white, and the blue accents from the factory. I've actually gone through and changed everything that was blue to red. So again, first person to make kind of like that big leap and that big change. So we will take a look at all of that here in a little bit and see what it looks like. But for now, the barber shop is not very far away at all, so let's just take a quick little cruise and get over there. I will call out, you're going to notice that my speedometer does not currently work. That's because I had a little bit of a hiccup with the ring down in the front wheel for the speedometer and the ABS. So my ABS light will also stay on. I just got to get that squared away so that the speedometer will start working again. So don't need people coming at my throat on the comments. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are still asking the question, you know, is this a good beginner bike? And, you know, a lot of people have reached out to me directly and have asked me that, and I mean, the answer is yes, right? It's pretty simple. I mean, I feel pretty confident that, you know, really any bike in this category, right, like the 300, 400, maybe, you know, there's bikes that are closer to 500 cc's, I mean, any of them should be good beginner bikes, right? They have a decent amount of power to get you around town, let you ride on the highway, all that good stuff, but they're also not unrealistic, right? They're very forgiving motorcycles, so as you're learning and you're learning how to shift and control the throttle and all of that, you don't have to worry about making small mistakes that could be really dangerous, which is a good thing. Now, like most other people that are looking at this bike, I obviously considered bikes like the Ninja 400 prior to making the decision to buy this, And really, I mean, the ultimate decision making for me was just the overall, like, the technology package that came with this bike from the factory, right? The TFT display, and all the cool things that you can do within it, the standard ABS, and then just some of the big name brands that you see on the bike, like Brembo brakes and a Bosch computer settings and whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. There's that cop back there. But you know what I mean, right? So knowing that there was quality put into this bike and that it was also different, right? In my area, you can go to any dealership, any meet. Ninja 400s are flying off the shelves. Everybody has them. Everybody wants them, and they're great bikes, right? They're nice bikes. So I don't blame them. But for me, I wanted something different, right? I wanted to have a little bit of a conversation piece, something that I could go to these shows and chat with people just about, hey, here's something new to the market. Here's something that you haven't really seen before, and all that good stuff. And that's exactly, you know, what I've been able to do with this bike, and I have zero complaints. Going back to somebody that is learning how to ride a bike, right? I mean, I didn't have a ton of experience with motorcycles before I bought this. I've ridden some four-wheelers, dirt bikes, and I owned a Kawasaki Z125 for a while. But I had never had like a full-size street bike. And I mean, literally, as long as you understand the concept, right? You know the basics of riding a motorcycle, you understand shifting, braking, and all of that. I mean, you can literally just hop on this bike and just go. If you've never ridden a motorcycle before, ever, take your time. You know, go find yourself a big parking lot, a school, a mall, a library, whatever's near you that has a big open parking lot, and just take the bike and really just practice getting out of first gear, getting moving, braking, making small turns. That will help you drastically, because once you get those basic movements down and you have all of that, hopping on the road and being able to ride confidently will be very easy. Yeah, like I said, just, you know, take your time, right? Like, there's no rush. Find yourself a parking lot, go learn the basics, and then once you get on the street, just take all those same basics into the street, right? Just be mindful, be careful. You know, don't be out there trying to show off for every person you see, and you'll be perfectly fine. I think one thing people don't really understand or know, or maybe realize about riding motorcycles is, like, once you have the basics down, I mean, it is extremely easy, right? Like, motorcycles do a very, very, very good job at basically balancing themselves, so you don't have to worry about anything crazy there. So yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna go up on the curb here. Barber shop is right up here on the left. All right. So yeah, I mean, if anybody continues to ask, is this a good beginner bike? I mean, the answer is, it's just yes, right? Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The bike is great, right? Like, it doesn't have a high seating position, so it's easy to get on. A lot of people should be able to flat foot this bike pretty easily. That's obviously a big thing you want to look for in a beginner bike. I think being confident when you're at a stop and being able to put both of your feet on the ground is a big plus. The bike doesn't have too much power, so obviously, right, I think this clocks in right around 50 horsepower. so it's definitely not an absurd amount. It's very manageable, very controllable. The bike will get up and move because it does have a decent amount of torque, right? I think it's about 28 foot-pounds of torque. So you can get up to 50, 60, 70 miles an hour pretty quickly, right? And you can get up to highway speeds and cruise at highway speeds of 75 miles per hour in 6th gear at a relatively low RPM. Those are all great things, right? So this bike does a lot of those things really well, and it does it at a great price point. So all right, so beard's all shaped up, hair's nice and cleaned up, we're good to go. Just for a little plug for my barber, we're at DuPont Barbering Co. in Wilmington, Delaware, on North DuPont Street. Go see my boy Christian if you're in the area. He'll get you looking good. But yeah, so we are going to get geared up. We're going to hop back on the bike. All right, so yeah, let's take a quick little walk around. So like, as I mentioned earlier, right, like you can see the scheme that I have going on here now, kind of going with a Joker theme. So I'm not sure how good they'll show up in the video, but I have the wheels wrapped with stickers or vinyl from spinningstickers.com. This is the white Joker universal sticker for 17-inch wheels. They're awesome. I mean, I think they look so good. They came out nice and clean, give the bike a cool look. So definitely can't ask for much more. So definitely loving the wheels. Again, got rid of all the blue accent, the vinyl wrap or the stickers. Obviously up here on the winglets there was blue. So a lot of this stuff is factory CFmoto parts. So the winglets are just the factory parts, but with the red, the vinyl package or the sticker package is from CFmoto directly. The plastic pieces by the sliders are from CFmoto. Then I got a couple of these red pieces ordered from AliExpress. But let's see, the visor, the tinted visor is from CFmoto. The levers are from SemSpeed, a company that I found on eBay and AliExpress and stuff, and they make a pretty good quality part. All their stuff feels really good. So I got the SemSpeed levers, the brake reservoir cap, and then on the other side over here have the front sprocket cover is also SemSpeed. So yeah, all nice, very quality parts. All right, let's hop back on the bike. Kind of chatting about the bike here. Some things I really like about this bike, right? Once you kind of get the hang of it, all that good stuff. I mean, I love how nimble this bike is. So it clocks in about 370 pounds, I believe it is. And I'm a pretty big guy, right? So I weigh 255 pounds. So obviously, right, like not the lightest thing to be carrying around. But I mean, this bike just feels so nimble, right? Like it's easy to kind of flick it around, make all the turns, make all the adjustments, do all the things that you need to do. It doesn't feel big and oafy and heavy. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, when it comes to a beginner bike, right, like that's like super important. Just something that you can feel confident when you can control it confidently, I should say. The brakes on the bike, front brakes, rear brakes, let's say still front brakes, right? We got the Brembo up front. I mean, they're great, right? It's a single disc. Yeah, sure, a dual disc setup would have been awesome. It looks cool. Obviously it has more stopping power. But honestly, the braking system on this bike, I mean, it's great, right? You can stop on a dime when you need to. The ABS works just as it is intended, so you have that kind of like additional peace of mind that you don't have to worry about locking up the brakes. Now, obviously, I currently do not have ABS because of the ring situation, as I mentioned earlier. So that's why my ABS light is on right now, meaning I do not have active ABS. So if I were to pull on my front brake as hard as I could at full speed, it would potentially lock up on me. Now the rear brake, I mean, I'm sure this is probably similar with a lot of motorcycles. I mean, it does what you need it to do, right? I tend to use my rear brake mostly in slow moving situations. So if I'm, you know, taking turns or I'm maneuvering around something tight, whatever, that's when I'll tend to use my rear brake. I don't typically need my rear brake to actually stop me in any kind of aggressive way. And the brake, you know, it does just that, right? It does exactly what it's intended to do. I don't have any issues or concerns with the rear brake at all. And then just, I mean, just overall, right? Like the feel of the bike, the suspension, the tightness, I mean, the way that the bike performs is just really solid in my opinion. Again, I don't have experience with a ton of different motorcycles out there, so it's hard to really compare it to things. I have, again, ridden the Ninja 400s and stuff like that. And in my opinion, right, like, I enjoy this bike more than I enjoy the Ninja 400. The Ninja 400s are very comfortable bikes, right? You can hop on that and ride the thing for hundreds of miles without any issues. But with that, like, I could almost argue that those bikes are too comfortable. They put you in a very upright riding position, and to me, right, like, part of the purpose of this style of bike, like a sport series bike like this, is having a little bit more of an aggressive riding position, and that's what this bike offers you. It does not put you in a traditional super sport position where you are very leaned over. So if you can see it, right, we have clip-on style bars. With a traditional super sport bike, you would notice that your bars would be directly underneath of your tree here, of the triple tree. So this bar right here, for example, would be about, I don't know, probably 3 inches lower. And that's pretty drastic, right? So that would put me down much lower when I'm cruising around. So on this bike, similar to the Ninja 400, you can see that it has these risers to bring the bars up a little bit higher, but definitely not in a substantial kind of way. So like right now, like I can easily one-hand this motorcycle cruising around. My back is a little bit hunched, but not anything significant. But I can ride this bike very comfortably. However, when I want to get down and, like, you know, grab onto the tank and be in a little bit more of an aggressive position, it's very easy to do and it's very comfortable. Alright, yeah. So again, I mean, I love this bike. I really haven't found anything like to complain about. I really enjoy the bike. I enjoy the way it looks. I enjoy the way that it rides. I enjoy the way that I feel on the bike. I can ride the bike for hours at a time and not be overly exhausted or tired or uncomfortable, sore, all of that. So yeah, I mean, to me, this is a very, very, very solid bike. I think the only real question mark still up in the air is going to be the overall longevity of the bike, right? Like, how long can I expect the electronics on the dash to last, right? Like, is the dash going to start acting wonky and give me problems? Those kind of things, you really just, you can't account for them, right? You have to just kind of ride it out and see what happens. So, I mean, that's really all there is to it. But everything else, right? Like, I've had this bike pretty torn apart to do some different things and doing some maintenance and all that. And honestly, like, the fit and finish and the quality of everything was pretty solid, right? Like, bolt holes all matched up, no bolts stripped or broke or anything like that. All of the plastic fairings and things that clip into place, they all clip in a very solid kind of way, and nothing felt like it was going to break. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising, to be honest, right? Like, when you think about a Chinese manufacturer and, right, like the MSRP that these bikes are being offered at, it makes you assume that there had to have been corners that were cut to get it at that price point. And when you look over the bike and you sit on the bike and you ride the bike and you experience it, it's just hard to find where that might have happened. If that makes sense, right? Like, again, there's nothing that jumps out at me as feeling, I don't know, lackluster, right? Like, nothing feels like it's, oh, that was super cheap, oh, they did that terribly. So yeah, I mean, overall, I'm pleased with the bike. Obviously having a hard time finding neutral there. I love the bike. We'll hop off. We'll take a walk around again. So again, kind of going with the Joker theme here, right? Got some lime green there. Got the sprocket green down there. These adjustable levers, again, ordered from either eBay or AliExpress. I think they might have been like $40. Feel good, function perfectly, do exactly what I need them to do. I have the fender delete, tail tidy, whatever you want to call it. That's from Mustard Bikes, based out of Australia. Great product there. Again, got some of these metal parts down here for the rear brake fluid reservoir. And then just this cover. I couldn't find one that said SS, or actually I wanted one that didn't say anything at all. So you can see this one says 450 SR, which is typically going to be the version of the bike that's offered overseas. Not really a big deal. It's whatever. The bike is very dirty right now. You might see I have a little bit of antifreeze leakage. That's my own fault. I accidentally overfilled the tank, so every now and again it is still just kind of overflowing from the tube here and dumping down to get it to the level it's supposed to be at. But yeah, otherwise, this bike, to me, I mean, it's so solid. I love it. Can't encourage everybody to go see one, test ride one, buy one enough. If you have any questions, you want to chat about it, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, that's it for today. So I don't know, we'll see if we can get this edited, get this out to everybody. Hopefully we'll be able to come up with some more stuff in the future. So later, dudes.